Will we meet again in heaven? The question basically is, what happens when we die? Will we be able to meet again in heaven with our souls that we were together with in this world? Will we be able to connect with our loved ones in heaven, so that when we do pass away and we move from the physical world to the spiritual world, will we get to meet our parents? Will we get to meet our grandparents, our great-grandparents? Will we be able to meet all of our loved ones that we were living in this world, in the heavenly world? The answer is yes. Indeed, we will be able to get reconnected in heaven with our loved ones. But it's going to be in a very different format. You see, in this world, we are all defined by our physical bodies. Before we were born, our souls were in heaven, had its own entity, and then the soul was brought down to this heaven through a very long, difficult journey. The soul came from very high place to a very low place. And it came into our physical body. So all of a sudden, the soul, which until the birth of the person was faceless, was bodiless, it was only when the soul came to this world and got assigned to a specific body, God matched up the soul that belongs with this specific body. So for the next few decades, whether it's 100 years, 120 years, whatever amount of years, during that time, the soul remains a soul, but it is only defined by its body. That's the only way us human beings can differentiate one person from another person, is by the person's appearances. Because we're not capable of really differentiating from one soul to another soul. It is only physical bodies, human bodies, that differentiate one from another. That's only in the materialistic, physical sense in this world. However, in heaven, there are no bodies. In heaven, the souls is not defined by your gender or by your physical appearances. It's a whole different dimension and a whole different way for a soul to be identified. It's almost like when we go to sleep at night and we have a dream. In the dream, we can see the strangest of things. You could see a Japanese sumo wrestler that looks like your great-grandmother. And you wonder, what just happened there in a dream? What kind of distortion of reality is there? I mean, you could see an elephant making its way through the hole of a pinhole, and you just see opposites happening, all in a state of a dream. And that is because in a dream, it is not the true reality as it is in real life, in the wake life. When we're conscious and we're able to ascertain and differentiate one person from another person, one fact from another fact. Because once we go to sleep and we go into the unconscious level, then all of a sudden we are no longer limited by our physical appearances and what we see, what we hear, what we smell. So once we have been removed from those limitations, then anything can happen. We are in a whole different realm. We're in a whole different world. We're in a world of opposites because they are no longer defined by the limits of the physicality of this world. That all being said, helps us appreciate and understand that when we do go to heaven, when our journey in this world is over, when we have completed our journey, our soul will ascend in heaven. And yes, it will get connected. It will be able to differentiate and appreciate the souls that were with you, that whether it was your loved one, your spouse, your parents, your children, or friends, acquaintances. Yes, in heaven there will be a reunion. It is not uncommon that when people are on the deathbed and the moment of death is approaching, as they say they are at death's door, it is not uncommon for your lineage, your souls from the past generations to come and greet you. And there are many who were at death's door and came back and would report that they saw the great-grandparents, the grandparents, that they were lining up to greet them. And when you're at death's door, it is not uncommon for that to happen because, yes, the souls are awaiting your arrival when the assigned time has arrived. So indeed, let's not fear that when death comes upon us, that life comes to a screeching halt. It does not come to a screeching halt at all, but rather it is a platform. It is a platform for the next journey in life. It's a springboard. Because when the soul comes down to this world, it came down to this world for a specific purpose and a reason, to be able to be God's partner in creation and to make a difference in this world. None of us are created just for no reason. We're not created just to come to this world and eat and drink and be merry and wait for the next day to come and repeat. Rather, we are put in this world for a purpose, for a reason, to accomplish, to populate the world, to grow the world, to bring spirituality to the world, to bring kindness to the world, and to expand God's desire in making this world a dwelling place for godliness. Each one of us is a partner in creation. So our journey through this life is exactly it. It's just a journey. It's almost like the antechamber before the huge ballroom. So our journey, our stopover on earth is just for a short time to accomplish what we need to accomplish. But once we get there and we accomplish it, it's a springboard into our next journey, which is our journey into heaven. And in heaven, where we are no longer restricted and limited to physical space and body, we can accomplish so much more in this spiritual realm. However, the soul, once it leaves your body, looks back on the earth days and say, "Oh, I could have done so much more. Now I can no longer do kindness to others. I can no longer invite people to my home and feed them a meal. I can no longer say a kind word. I can no longer give charity. I can no longer study." Because that you could only do when you're in earth, when you're in a physical body. Yes, so the soul in heaven looks backwards and says, "Oh, I could have done so much more. I should have done so much more. Why did I waste so much time?" Realizing how limited our time is on this world. And so that's such a beautiful lesson. The Maimonides writes that every day a person should think that maybe today's your last day in the world. What would you do if today was the last day, your last day on this world? Would we really waste it on frivolous, or would we spend the time sharing love and talking love and kindness and doing whatever we can to really make the day the last day of the world? So what exactly happens in heaven when you get there is not very well known. We do know, yes, that we are going to be reunited with our loved ones and be there. So let me share with you an anecdote to bring some levity to this perhaps morbid situation. So there was once the student who passed away, and he came up to heaven and he asks the guard at the gates of heaven and says, before I go to my eternal resting place, can I visit my rabbi? He says, sure, absolutely. When did your rabbi pass away? He said, about 5 years ago. What's his name? His name is Rabbi Garfinkel. And what year did he pass away? He tells him what year. He looks him up. His name is Isaac. He says, yes. Okay, why don't you go to cloud 18 and you'll see section 7. And that's where Rabbi Garfinkel is residing in an eternal peace. He makes his way to Rabbi Garfinkel, knocks on the door, and a very young, attractive, beautiful woman, loosely clad, opens the door. And the student says, oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong room. He says, no, you're looking for Rabbi Garfinkel? He says, yeah. He says, oh, he's right there sitting and studying. He says, really? And he looks inside, and she goes and she sits on his lap. And he says, Rabbi, you are the most pious, religious, observant rabbi. Really? Is this your reward in heaven for being so pious? So he looks at his student and says, student, no, this isn't my reward. It's her punishment. So this anecdote is truly helps us understand the journey of heaven, and the reward of heaven indeed awaits all of us when our time comes. But until that time comes, we certainly want to make every day a meaningful day, every day an accomplishing day, every day a meaningful day. And don't worry about who you're going to meet in heaven. Don't worry about afterlife. Really focus more on today's life. Focus on today, because remember, yesterday is all history. Tomorrow is yet a mystery. Today is a gift from God. That's why it's called the present. Indeed, it is a gift. It is a present to be in the present. So let's remember the clock only moves forward, and every moment that passes by is a moment lost. People are so worried about the money they lose, but why don't they think about the time that they are losing? Because the time that they are losing, we can never make it back. So let's make every moment count, every day count. Let's make our life count, and learn as much as we can, and study the meaning of life. Study the Torah, study the Kabbalah, and learn more about yourself and more about this journey, so that the journey would reach its completeness in the best of spirit, in the best of time. God bless you. God loves you.